Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Dating in the Wild. And I'm so thankful for the listeners, the people who have been tuning in, because people have mentioned that they have an experience of dating in the wild. Probably not as many as someone like me who is not using dating apps, but I think some people, in conjunction with dating apps, have been able to have a dating in the wild experience just by being open and welcoming of experiences and of strangers who might approach them. But one such listener wrote to me and said that he had a story. Now, dating in the wild is for everyone, no matter how young, how old, male, female, non binary, whatever you identify with, dating in the wild is for everyone because we all go out and about in our lives and we're going to encounter people, whether we know them or we know them through someone else, or we're meeting complete strangers at the grocery store or what have you. There's a story on that. And that I will interview someone in the near future. I definitely know about that one. But when we are living our lives, we meet people, and you just never know who you might come in contact with that you might say, hey, I want to get to know you a little better. Let's go on a date, right? So I have one listener named Ian, and he wrote me with a couple of his own dating in the wild experiences. So I want to share one of those with you today. Okay? And please remember, if you have one, please share it with me. I'd love to tell it to the world and just to keep people open about the fact that you can date in the wild. Now, I don't know how old Ian is, and I don't know when this story happened exactly, but this is what he emailed me. And I did try and get some clarification. And so here we go. All right. His suggestion in dating in the wild is to learn to read the room. Mm-hmm. I was at the Whataburger here in College Station late at night in mid-March, and there were a bunch of people in line. Now, if you're from the South like I am, if you're from the Texas area and you have Whataburger, you know that it is a place to go to after a night of drinking or hitting the club or whatever. When that shuts down at 2 and you've got a hankering for some chicken tenders or a burger or whatnot, you may stop at the drive-through of a Whataburger. I'm guilty of that. I've done that in my past. And so his experience, I'm sure, is familiar to some of you who have done that after a night out. But he went inside the store. Right in front of me was a guy with two women looking at him, and they were all together trying to pass the time. I have no idea what started this, but the guy starts dancing. I use that word in quotes because I can hardly call those movements with his body dancing. As he was awkwardly moving, the women seemed like they were extremely embarrassed to be with him and wanted him to stop, but couldn't tell him. I watched awkwardly from behind and made some faces like, do you know what he's doing? And the women seemed to pick up on it and made the same face back, which I can only roughly believe meant, no, please save us from this awkwardness. You know how sometimes you share those knowing glances with strangers? I mean, yes, if you can read body language and eye contact, hey, sometimes you know how other people are feeling. Some people in the restaurant are laughing at this point, and again, the guy can't seem to pick up how uncomfortable he's making the two women that are with him. So, as a former hip hop dancer and this is Ian, he's talking about himself, from behind, as silently as possible, seeing if I could do this without him noticing, he starts to do the Ellen DeGeneres Dance Dare Challenge. And so I start doing some actual dancing behind him. The women both laugh and applaud. And the best part is that the guy never notices and thinks they're applauding him. You could say I succeeded at the challenge. Aha, so the guy was not even aware of his surroundings. Not long after, their turn came up and they ordered their food. Ian was right behind them, so I ordered mine and went to go sit down. But on their way out, as the guy was in the bathroom, the two women came over to my table, and one of them gave me her number on a napkin. Photo below. So in the email of this story, Ian has a picture of the napkin and her phone number. I mean, it's great. You can tell it's a woman's handwriting. It's got her name and then her phone number. Hilarious. Aha, caveat here though. Unfortunately, I was dating someone at the time, so we never ended up dating, or I never ended up contacting this person. I feel like there's an important message for everyone in this story. Learn to read when the people around you are uncomfortable with your actions. And he does say men. He's like, men, learn to read when the women you're with are uncomfortable with your actions. I think as more often than not, it's usually men who put women in those uncomfortable situations, but I want to generalize it for just all people. I feel like this story is somewhat of a microcosm of what the male-female dating relationship is like. Men acting in ways that make women uncomfortable without realizing it. Women feel like they can't tell them without the man freaking out. So the lack of communication, which I've mentioned before. Ultimately, the man being so blind to it all that when something is going on behind him that he ought to realize, he completely misses it and remains completely blind to his own incompetence. Again, if you can't read the room, if you can't learn to read the room, then don't be surprised if you lose the people you want to date to a possibly random guy who does. So Ian was saying that basically, had he not been in a relationship at that time, he totally would have taken this woman on her offer and called her and asked her out on a date. So respectful that he is, he did not do that. As good for you. But yeah, think about the possibilities. I mean, she obviously liked what she saw. She obviously liked his dance moves. Otherwise, she would not have given him her phone number on a napkin. I think if you are given that opportunity, take it if you're in the right place, right? Ian says he was not single at the time, but if you are single and someone offers you their number, hey, take that number and take that opportunity to go for it. Contact that person and be like, hey, thank you for giving me your number. Now, if you're not interested in that person and you're like, no, I don't think it would work out because, again, you've seen that person, then just be straight with them and say, hey, thank you for your number, but I'm not interested. If you are, then just see about perhaps getting some coffee or going back to Whataburger. It's fun. So those are my thoughts. Those are Ian's thoughts. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you will get out there and date in the wild. Thanks. Bye-bye.